Danica Patrick, Brian Vickers, Casey Mears, and Regan Smith. All of those are NASCAR drivers who have went away from the sport recently, but you probably at least remember them for some reason. So, that leads to the question, who are some former NASCAR drivers we as fans have probably forgotten about? Well, here's 5 of them right now. Colin Braun. I remember Colin Braun best for only a couple of things. 1, his only win in NASCAR, and 2, the cool paint scheme he had in NASCAR 09 and how I took his truck in career mode. So, if you forgot about Colin, I can understand how. Colin was a developmental driver driving the same time period as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Here's what we have from Racing Reference. 3 ARCA Series starts with 3 top 10s and 1 top 5. 53 Truck Series starts, 5 pole awards, 23 top 10s, 9 top 5s, and 1 win at Michigan in 2009. Most of that success came in 2009 when he looked like he was reaching full potential. That's when it was decided he and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. were finally ready for full-time nationwide series rides in 2010. That's where it goes wrong. In 2010, Colin Braun only got 5 top 10s, but it seems like every other race, he was wrecking Jack Roush's car. In fact, the same can be argued for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 2010. Colin Braun and Stenhouse would later go on to be let go from their rides, and while Stenhouse was given a second chance, Colin Braun was not, and has not been seen in NASCAR again since 2011, when he competed in just 2 Camping World Truck Series races. Since Colin's stint in NASCAR, he's been racing in Sports Car Touring Series where he originally started, and he's actually been rather good in this role, picking up 13 wins in those races since leaving NASCAR. Brian Keselowski. That's right, he is the brother of Brad Keselowski. While Brian's brother has experienced many wins and a championship, Brian has seemed to always struggle to compete well, mostly due to the lack of funding. Brian is best known for running his family team K Automotive's number 92, a number which came from the inversion of Brad and Brian's dad, Bob Keselowski, and his number 29 from the trucks. One of the most notable moments for Brian Keselowski was racing his way into the 2011 Daytona 500 with the help of brother Brad in an unsponsored car. After this, he showed up Sunday with Discount Tire backing his car. However, he did end up crashing out during this race. Since then, nothing much has been seen from Brian. His last Xfinity start was in 2011, and his last Cup Series start was in 2013, where he ran just 2 races. However, in 2015, Brian got the chance to drive for his brother's Truck Series team at Talladega, where he started 11th, led 10 laps, and finished in 17th. However, that was his last race within NASCAR, and the last things on record for Brian was 3 ARCA starts in 2016 with 2 top 10s during that time. Steve Wallace. Stephen Wallace is the son of famous NASCAR driver Rusty Wallace, but the way his career went, you wouldn't believe it. Originally, it was hoped that Steve Wallace could be the star driver of Rusty Wallace Racing. Shoot, Rusty Wallace Racing is an entirely separate video of teams you forgot about. But Steve Wallace was the driver of the number 66 and was one of 5 Hour Energy's first entries into NASCAR, and well, not much can really be said for Steve's career. He only competed in 1 Cup Series race, the 2011 Daytona 500, where he finished 20th. He also only has 7 Truck Series starts with only 1 top 5 finish. Wallace spent the majority of his career in Nationwide Series from 2005 to 2013. In those years, he competed in 193 races, drove 34,314 laps, and he only led for 57 of those laps. He also only scored 34 top 10s, and only 6 of those were top 5s, and he never won. Needless to say, Steve Wallace's NASCAR career was nothing much to remember. Now since then, Wallace has kind of fell in line as a good late model driver with 19 starts in the Cars Super Late Model Series since 2015 with 7 top 5s and 2 career wins. Shawna Robinson. Before we had Danica Patrick, there was Shawna Robinson, and I'll be honest, if my first NASCAR video game wasn't NASCAR Thunder 2003, then I may have never known who Shawna Robinson was at all, and that wouldn't have been hard to believe either. Here's her stats. 8 combined years in the Busch Series with only 61 starts. Wait, does that even make 2 full seasons? Just barely. During this time, she only scored 1 career pole award and she scored 1 career top 10. Then there's her Cup career. Well, what there is of it. Only 8 starts between 3 years, and that's it. An average start of 32nd and an average finish of 36th. So yeah, maybe Danica Patrick wasn't that bad after all. Now, I'd like to say that things were better for Shawna after NASCAR, but actually I'm sad to say that she has been forced to battle breast cancer. But fortunately, she seems to have beat it for now. But now, her young son, Tanner, is now battling testicular cancer. Now, I can understand if you forgot Shawna as a driver, but I do ask that you would remember her and her family as they battle a tough fight. Dario Franchitti. When I think of Dario, I think of a couple of things. His great IndyCar career, his ex-wife Ashley Judd, and the terrifying crash which ended his racing career. However, you probably forgot his NASCAR career. Yes, Dario had an amazing career in IndyCar. 151 races over 11 years, 22 pole awards, 59 podium finishes, 21 wins, 3 of which coming from the Indianapolis 500, and he is a 4-time series champion in 2007, 2009, 2010, and 2011. Wait, where's 2008? What was he doing then? Well, that is when Dario tried his hand in stock cars. Although he ran a handful of Busch, truck, and ARCA races in 2007, he was still mostly an IndyCar star in 2007. In 2008 though, he focused exclusively on stock cars. He used his relationship with Chip Ganassi to try to do what fellow Ganassi driver Juan Pablo Montoya did and transition from IndyCar to NASCAR. And although Juan Pablo ultimately returned to IndyCar too, it's safe to say he left a better memory for his NASCAR career than Dario. In fact, here's some NASCAR stats for Dario. In his only year in NASCAR full-time, well, he didn't even run full-time. 10 Cup Series starts, 1 lap led, and an average finish of 34th. 18 Nationwide Series starts, 1 pole award, 2 top 10s, and 1 top 5 with 106 laps led. After this, it became clear that the driver from Scotland was better off going back to IndyCar. And when he did that, he saved his racing career, winning 13 more races after leaving stock cars. So yeah, I can understand forgetting he was ever a NASCAR driver. His 2013 year, however, was a rather bad year. Earlier in the year, he and his wife of 11 years divorced, and later in the year, he was severely injured in a crash at the Houston Grand Prix at Texas. This crash would actually force him to retire from racing for good. However, since retiring, Franchitti has actually remarried and became a father and gets to spend more time in his native Scotland. So it does seem that although his racing career is done, he is living a very happy life today. And that's my list of 5 NASCAR drivers that you probably forgot about. And believe me, there are still a lot more. I definitely intend on doing another one of these sometime. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give the video a like, drop a comment on other forgettable drivers, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you know when I upload in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. This has been Danny B Talks, and I'll see you soon. Bye guys.